Hi there, and welcome to the team. My name is Dexter Simmons. I'm one of the owners. Whether you are full-time or part-time with us here, these videos should be helpful. Feel free to log on to our website and look back on these videos from time to time as a refresher. I want to go over a little bit of the background of the company before I get started. As a company, we've been in business since 2010. Performing physical, occupational, and SLP work directly for home health agencies. We are one of the largest, if not the largest, W-2 employer for home health therapists in Southeast Texas. Altogether, we oversee about 2,000 visits a week. This is with over 70 home health agencies. And this takes the help of full-time and part-time staff of over 75 therapists. We're proud of each one of our therapists that work for the team. We really consider the whole group to be more of an extended family. So that's just a little bit of the background. These videos are meant to educate and to be a future reference down the road for any questions you may have. So today's video is just going to be over the basics of Kinnser. Kinnser is a web-based software, meaning that you can access it from a tablet, a desktop, your phone. So I'm just going to get started here by logging in. There's always going to be a little box that pops up just letting you know that you're entering into a software and there's sensitive information behind here. It's just a HIPAA compliant box letting you know that you're entering the software. Anytime you log on, it's going to bring you right into your email box or they call it your K-mail box here. And anytime there's software updates, you'll have a little box that pops up right here. And some of these are pertinent and some of them aren't. Usually when I get in, I just exit out of the box to clear the screen and make it look a little cleaner. And if you've got any emails that have not been opened, like this one here, it's going to be bolded. And that just let you know to jump in and open it. But this is a way for our therapists and our staff to communicate. And so today I'm going to focus on this top toolbar here and go over just a brief understanding of each one of the functions. And then in future videos, we'll go into greater depth. So I'm going to start here with Go To. And so right now we're actually in our inbox. So that's this third tab down. I'm going to start at the top at Hotbox. The Hotbox is just a place for you to go get your schedule. So on a typical day, this is a schedule going back into last year. You'll see it broken into days: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's got the patient's name. It's just the same patient over and over for this example. And then the type of visit. And then the status. So the status is not yet done. And then this little icon here shows you how to write miss visits. So this is your schedule. It's how you go and you click on the actual visit itself and it'll bring you into the note and you document and you're done. The next topic to go over, or next bullet point to go over is we're going to skip over QA Manager. That's for our in-house. We've already addressed the inbox, which is our email system. My Patients generically kind of pulls up this way. We don't really use blank forms or really even the phone roster. The main thing to take away here is the display schedule. You can go through and actually pick your dates that you want to look at for the work week or even a partial work week. So I'm going to go and capture, I know where these visits are at. So display schedule. And then what pulls up here is kind of a user-friendly format. We encourage all of our therapists to print this out daily if possible. It's going to have the patient's phone number, their address, the visit type, the home health agency. It's going to have all this very useful information for the day. And this is just a good something to have with you so you can take down notes just in case your device is not receiving a good signal for data. And so, yeah, this is just a little printout version of the schedule. Underneath profile, if anything changes in this throughout your time here with us, please go in and make these changes. I want to say everybody's going to have access to this for their own profile: address, phone number, good working email, And that way we can always make sure we've got good updated information on you. You won't have to go into the dashboard much at all. It really doesn't serve much of a function for clinicians. Kinnser as a software is really actually more formally used for the home health agencies. They use this thing at the top here, the subscription we have is Therapy Manager. It's more was more of an afterthought almost than it was for the home health manager. So dashboard really isn't that functional. Patient Manager is just going to bring you into all the patients that we have in alphabetical order. It's great to look them up. Orders Manager, we don't really need to use this much because the home health agency generates their own orders. We don't have a lot of orders workflows throughout our company. Reports Admin is really meant for the in-house office staff, our front office. They run reports here. They can check out your schedule. They can look up almost anything they want to for you through here. It's one of the ways we invoice. And generally we don't give access to our clinicians. There's just really no point. It's really more of a front office function. Same thing for Billing Manager. So that's really this first tab here, Go To. So depending on what screen we're in, you'll see this toolbar will change. So if I go to My Patients or Patient Manager, you'll see this toolbar actually just changed. We've got more functionality than we do underneath Hotbox. There's just these 4 tabs. But if I go under if I go into Patient Manager, there's a lot more functions here. So we'll work from this screen to kind of go through it all. So underneath File, the 2 main things you're going to use are Messages and Communications. This is really just for filing anything new. So you won't be filing any new patients, like receiving a referral and having to input them. So you won't be doing a lot of that or inputting hospitals or facilities or physicians. We do all that in-house. But Messages and Communications. So let's jump into Messages right quick. This is just everybody who works for the company and all the home health agencies. So if you want to send a message out, you click on the people that you want the message to go to. Type your subject in just like you would a normal email. And then if you're actually in a patient's chart, the patient's name will pre-populate. If not, you have a drop-down box here to pick the patient it's referring to. Type your message up, send the message, and then everybody will get the message. So if I go back into my inbox here, these are messages that were sent to me. And so it's just an email system. File New Communication. This is going to be used for if you want to report something about a patient that needs to go above and beyond what needs to go into the note. Let's say the patient has become non-compliant. Only putting that in the patient's note probably wouldn't be sufficient. You're going to want to write a communication. Anything outside the ordinary, let's say you get to the patient's house and you find out they're in the hospital. This is a great way to report it after you've already called it in. So you either call it into the office or call it in the home health agency or both. And then you would come back here and write a communication. Patient in hospital spoke to this person at the front office. And then whichever hospital they went to would be good information here as well. You hit Add Communication. And the biggest difference here is as opposed to an actual message, a message only goes to the people you're sending it to. A communication is actually going to, without any extra work, it's going to go to everybody who's on the chart. And so, and it gets stored electronically away with the file, with the patient's chart. So it'll be there for future reference points. If anybody goes back and says, what happened in this time frame? Why wasn't the patient seen? They'll go to communications first to see, is there an explanation here as to what happened? So that kind of explains communications. Let's go into an actual patient here. View. Okay, so we went through File New. Underneath Edit, once again, these are all features that are really used in-house. This is to edit a patient or edit the agency or edit the actual episode that we're in. I really don't want to say 100% that we don't allow this, but this is the patient's information, changing addresses and phone numbers. We really don't want you to have to do any of that firsthand. If you find out that a patient has moved from the address that we have on file, or their phone number has changed, or you want to update a secondary phone number, just call the front office and let them know, and they'll be able to update this for you. So that's really the only function out of these 5 that I would say is going to be used by clinicians. Underneath View of this, probably the most important thing. These are all it's all pretty friendly, user-friendly options here, and they're all functional in their own way. But what's applicable to the actual clinician is a patient profile. Some of our therapists who just like to have hard copies of as many things as they can will print one of these out for every one of their patients. This one's kind of not all inclusive. It's got a lot missing from it because this is just a generic fake patient. But it's going to have their phone number, address, their current episode they're in, the home health agency, emergency contacts, the doctor's name. It's just a real good overview of what's going on with the patient. And some therapists just like to have this on for all their patients they have on caseload, just in case somebody calls on them and they're with another patient, just to jog their memory. I'm not opposed to it. I don't know that it's I don't know. We definitely wouldn't make this a requirement. There's pros and cons to doing it. The pros are you have the information handy. The con is you've got a lot of patient information just kind of hanging around in your car, physical copies. So you run into a HIPAA issue there with leaving it behind at a patient's house or just having it out and open. So there's reasons for and against having it. We're kind of in the middle on whether you use them or not. But some people really find them to be helpful. Outside of that, underneath here, there's not really much for the clinician itself. Underneath tools, probably one of the major functions that we use as clinicians is maps. So if I'm in a patient's chart and I click on the map, we'll actually, may take a second here, but it's going to pull up a Google map of where the patient's located at. And this patient, I just put a fake address in. They're in Florida. They don't really live in Florida, but so here we are. Well, here I am, and let's see here. If I, so you could put in the original address and then where you're going, and it'll take you right there it'll give you directions to the patient's house. So that's a pretty good pretty good functionality of this this map feature, to be able to go from wherever you're currently at right this minute and go to your next patient's house. We do like for our therapists to do something else, and it involves you scheduling out the day before. So this is really for new patients, or if somebody calls you midday and says, hey, can you go see him here? This would be where you would go. Or if you just, maybe you've been to the patient's house several times and then you just, had one of those days where you just forgot, this would be a good place to go to find your apps. We don't encourage you to do it for every single patient. It becomes a crutch, and it really does kind of slow you down if this is how you're getting from patient to patient's house. And then the search function, you can go here and type in any patient's name you want if you're having a hard time finding them, and it'll pull up everybody we've got in the system. So type in Smith, and it'll pull up every Smith we've got. So this is like a short video of just the basics to Kinnser and using this top toolbar. We will have future videos coming out that will go into greater depths with different subjects. And for now, guys, that's it for this video. And please be safe out there, and check out the videos after this for more detailed information.